the High Commission of Ghana to the UK. Papa Nkrumah has confirmed that the properties of the government of Ghana and the UK are likely to be sold due to a failure. He even indicated that out of the 5 properties of Ghana and the UK that were attached to the judgment, only one is likely to be sold, Regina House, which is used for commercial purposes. The remaining properties, including the High Commissioner's residence, the High Commission and the Chancery, are all being used for diplomatic purposes and are covered by diplomatic immunity. Regina House is located in central London. It's a 6-story building which is managed wholly by the government of Ghana. Currently, it's being rented by the Ghana International Bank, 2 other banks, and another commercial entity. In a related development, Ranking Member on Parliament's Energy Committee, John Abdullah Jinapor, is alleging that President Akufo-Addo terminated the power purchase agreement between Trafigura's Ghana Power Generation Company, GPGC, and the government to teach someone a lesson. According to him, someone has stepped on the president's toe, and as such, the contract was terminated to prove a point, only for the MPP administration to turn around and sign a similar agreement with another company. Speaking on Joy FM's Top Story yesterday, he said, "I'm telling you that this termination was because of a family feud between some family members of the president on one hand and the other. Quote, when we assume office, you will get to know the real truth and the rationale behind the termination. They did not terminate the contract because they had Ghana's interest at heart. It's because they wanted to teach somebody a lesson. They extended their own family problem into governance and terminated this contract, and today you and I are paying for it." However, Mr. Jinapor said he was saddened because the next NDC administration would have a lot of things to correct. So that's it. Sammy, I don't know if you've been following this particular story.
Which paper is that?
The Daily Post. But these stories are from Joy.
I was looking at the printing. Who prints it for them?
The editor is Michael Dokusi.
I think we should support him to get a printer. It's a bit. I'm surprised you're able to see that.
Yes, sir.
Well, Doc, let me extend warm regards to our viewers and your good self and Nana. These are not the kind of stories you want to begin a Friday morning with or any day with. Liabilities that could be avoided and should have been avoided. Talking about $134 million. A judgment debt which has come upon us because of the total recklessness of this Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. $134 million is in excess of 2 billion Ghana cedis. That is a huge sum of money that can ameliorate the plight of a lot of people. As we speak this morning, there's still crisis at the dialysis center in Kolebu. A few days ago, they were threatening to demonstrate. And sometimes when you hear the sums, it's just 2 million cedis, 3 million cedis, 4 million cedis. We are losing lives. There are many hospitals across the country without hospital equipment as we speak. Indeed, the last time the health minister appeared before the Assurances Committee, he told us that the last time Ghana carried out a hospital re-equipping program was in 2011 when NDC was in power. Can you imagine? More than a decade ago, that's when our hospitals were re-equipped. And you're getting calls from all over. The last time Kofi Anokye put out a statement that they have had to turn away dialysis patients because their equipments are breaking down. The many hospitals in this country without CT scans, without MRIs. And we are talking about the very prestigious hospitals. I mean, if you have situations where hospitals like 37, like Kolebu, like Rage Hospital, have their imaging machines in disarray. They don't have them, and then on a daily basis, you keep hearing of these huge sums of money that the Ghanaian taxpayer will have to cough up. And that's what really hurts me about the recklessness of public officials, that when these judgment debts accrue, they don't really pay a price. It's a taxpayer, the struggling taxpayer, who will have to be made to pay this judgment debt. And as has become the case of our justice system, you can only wait for another government to come into power and exact accountability and seek justice. So all those who have caused this judgment debt expect that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration will do nothing to them, especially as is the president's family, from what the ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee is telling us, a family feud, and we've heard about this family feud for a long time. For many years, we've been hearing about it. So don't expect that there will be any action. It's only the next NDC government that will exact accountability, and that is fundamentally a challenge with our justice delivery system and the quest for accountability. Accountability has now become the accountability of predecessors, of political opponents. So when people think that they have power now, they just conduct themselves with impunity. There are very few people who are minded to really think about the consequences of their actions. So they know that nothing will be done.
Let me just provide some information. Yeah. The arbitral award.
Yes.
The arbitral award. Yeah. I want to read from paragraph 490. Quite interesting with this one. Now, this is from the arbitral award in the UK. It says 490. One of the PPAs recommended for termination was the GPGC project. Dr. Hincre's committee, you remember there was a committee that was set up to look at these PPAs, and they made recommendations. Yeah. Yes. Dr. Hincre's committee suggested that termination could be achieved for some $18 million, as opposed to payments of $24.9 million a year for 4 years in excess capacity charges. The basis of that recommendation is not known. This is the tribunal, the arbitral report. The copy of the PPA committee report submitted into the record by Government of Ghana is heavily redacted, notwithstanding the tribunal's order that the unredacted text be disclosed. Under cross-examination, Dr. Hincre equivocated as to whether he had any recollection of the particular recommendation made in respect of GPGC EPA at all, just as he had sought to distance himself from the AG's advice of August 2017. False assurances were given by Government of Ghana in October 2017 that a GPGC project was one of those unaffected as a result of the review, and that he enjoyed the full support of the minister and of Mr. Opam. On the basis of this record, the tribunal has no hesitation in concluding A, that the true reason for the purported termination of the EPA was aptly summarized by counsel for GPGC in the course of his opening submissions. Quote, the PPA committee report suggested that the actual development cost of a project to date should be verified and used as a guide in negotiations for termination. In other words, the committee suggested that Government of Ghana should negotiate a settlement under which it would only compensate GPGC for its actual development costs, rather than what GPGC was entitled to under the contract. The committee calculated what it estimated that actual development cost to be, and thus the hoped for price of a negotiated termination might be $18 million. Government of Ghana's sole reason for terminating the GPGC contract was that its faithful performance would be expensive, that all of the electricity generated would be excess, and that Government of Ghana thought it could negotiate a settlement based on termination against a payment of $18 million. So this was a cost-benefit analysis, pure and simple, given a coating of legal veneer by the AG's advice, and that B, Government of Ghana's defense based upon Clause 4G of the EPA must fail. In light of those conclusions, the tribunal must consider the proper measure of damages to which GPGC is entitled by reason of Government of Ghana's wrongful termination of the EPA. Recital F of the EPA records that, quote, the Government of Ghana recognizes that by GPGC's dedicating exclusively the GPGC equipment for the purpose of this EPA, the performance of the term is of the essence of the EP, as GPGC will be unable otherwise. So this 490, and it's quite instructive.
Yeah, very instructive.
In terms of how government went about this thing.
Very, very instructive and very damning. And you see, Doc, my worry this morning is that the recklessness continues. Even after the award in the UK, look at government's conduct. Government paid only $1.8 million. And then, despite several reminders,
being fully aware that 5 properties
have been attached. The recklessness continues. They couldn't be bothered. Then Trafigura goes to the US. They serve notice through the foreign minister to the attorney general. They tell them that your deadline is March 29th to comply, to put in a defense, to show up. They refused. The foreign minister, the attorney general, nobody showed up in court. Nobody was there to fight for Ghana's interest. Nobody.
What are you going to fight, really?
No,
is it not the case that they knew it was dead? It was dead on arrival.
But you see, despite your initial recklessness, at least now show remorse, turn on a new leaf, and think about the interest of Ghana. Just think about the interest of Ghana. Now they are compounding the situation, they are adding interest, and they now have a situation where, because with what they have done in the US, they can even decide to attach properties of Ghana in the US as well. I mean, total recklessness, total ineptitude, total disregard for the interests of Ghana. Look, this is another classic case which should give all of us a reason to boot out this reckless, incompetent, corrupt, inept, insensitive Akufo-Addo Bawumia government and bring in a new leadership to reset Ghana and to, most importantly, go after all of those who have brought us this international embarrassment and who continue to dissipate scarce public resources because of their grand ineptitude and cruelty. I mean, if you live in a country like Ghana, a country that you have brought to its knees, a country that has been declared bankrupt and insolvent, look at what the sovereign credit rating agencies are saying about our junk status. Should you be creating further liability and engaging in conduct such as this? And they won't even show responsibility. They will not pay up their debts after creating these liabilities. And when they are called to come to court, they are served notice. They will not even show up to defend the interests of the state. I mean, what's going on here? And President Akufo-Addo is superintending over all of this. They don't give a damn. They don't care a hoot. They can't be bothered. Now you have a UK judgment to deal with. You have a US judgment to deal with. And these people are moving all over the place. I recall the last time our committee was in the UK, the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we discussed this judgment. Then they told us that yes, I mean, they know that there is a Ganishi. They live every day with that threat that we could lose this diplomatic property. And these properties, if we lose them, we cannot get any property in London.
It appears what's keeping us now is the
location
cover.
I mean,
for 4 of the properties, the Chancery, the High Commissioner's residence, and all, is the diplomatic cover that's saving us.
Yes, but Regina House,
yes,
you know, we can just lose it. And look at the key strategic institutions at Regina House. And you see, these are properties that the Osagifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and you know that Ghana is one of the few countries. It will interest you to know that we have even over time, because of poor record keeping and all of that, even lost some of these properties. The Osagifo was so strategic that if even you travel to the UK, you're a Ghanaian, and you run into consular challenges, you should have a place for you to be kept. The staff in the UK of the foreign mission have bungalows that Kwame Nkrumah acquired for us. We are the envy of many, many countries. And as I always say, this current generation of MPP politicians, they will never add to the stock. They will either sell and will be coming to the opaque, very, dubious sale of state lands, or they engage in such reckless conduct. Look, Ghana is not anybody's family garden. We have to make that point very clear. If you have your family feud, when you go to Oforipenyin Fie, you can resolve it there. Let the Ochehine help you people to resolve it. Leave us out of your family feud. Leave us out. Now, see where we are. See where we are. At least, I mean, Nana Komia is an elder in the family. He probably can join the family mediation. Oh, you don't think they'll listen to him? Oh, he's a prominent Achim.
He's not invited to meetings.
At least, go and resolve it in Oforipenyin Fie. Don't drag all of us along. Don't drag all of us along. Why? I mean, what have we done? Why? What have we done to this Achim mafia? I mean, why? Now here we are.
It's okay.
So